Ever wondered what cruise waiters secretly wish you'd stop doing? I remember one night on a cruise ship where a couple at the next table sent back their soup. Twice. First it was too cold, then it was too hot. By the time their main course arrived, they were arguing with the waiter about why the chicken wasn't grilled enough, and I could see it in the waiter's eyes. He was done. But he smiled, nodded, and walked off professionally. That's the thing. Cruise ship waiters are trained to keep their cool. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that drive them crazy behind the scenes. Waiters on cruise ships serve hundreds of guests every night. They remember allergies, wine preferences, seating charts, and they do it with a smile, twice a night, 7 days a week. That's impressive, and they rarely complain. But what if I told you there are 7 specific things cruise waiters secretly hate that passengers do all the time? From things you might think are harmless to habits that could actually hurt their job performance. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. This isn't about shaming anyone. It's about helping you become a guest they actually enjoy serving and making your dining experience smoother, faster, and maybe even a little more special. So if you've ever wondered, am I accidentally being that guest? Stick around. These are the 7 things cruise ship waiters really wish passengers would stop doing in 2025. But first, subscribe because this is going to be good. This is the #1 frustration that cruise ship waiters mention over and over again. Guests who complain about the food too early, before even giving the meal a fair chance. Picture this. The waiter places your appetizer down, you poke it twice, and immediately call them back over. This looks undercooked, or I don't like how this smells. You send it back before taking a bite, and now the entire dining flow is disrupted for you and for them. Cruise kitchens serve thousands of dishes every night. Timing is everything. Sending something back right away throws off your course timing, your server's entire rotation, and even the galley's prep schedule. Now, if something is clearly wrong, like cold soup, an allergy concern, or a mix-up in your order, of course you should speak up. But cruise waiters say the real problem is when guests rush to judge or change their order before they've even tried it. And it's not just about inconvenience, it's about respect. The chef and crew have spent months crafting menus, adjusting to dietary needs, and training to get this right. Taking a few bites before deciding you dislike something shows maturity, and also gives the waiter something concrete to work with if you still want to switch. There's another layer. Many guests think complaining early gives them more control. But in reality, it usually results in slower service, a frazzled waiter, and less time spent at your table. Because now, they're scrambling. One former waiter put it best. If a guest tells me at dessert that their entree wasn't their favorite, I can still take that feedback seriously and offer them something special. But if they throw the plate back after one sniff, it's just frustrating. So here's the golden rule. Try first. Talk second. That little pause can save time, build rapport, and even get you a better response if you do want to swap something out. Cruise ship waiters are trained to be warm, attentive, and polite, but that doesn't mean they're free to hang out at your table like it's a backyard barbecue. Being too chatty, too personal, or overly familiar can actually make their job harder. Yes, friendliness is appreciated. A little small talk? Absolutely. But remember, your waiter isn't just serving you. They're likely juggling 4 to 8 tables at once, often with tight schedules and little room for delays. When a guest starts telling their whole life story, asking 20 personal questions, or even trying to take selfies during service, it pulls the waiter away from other tables, throws off the pacing of the meal, and builds stress. I once saw a couple try to convince their waiter to sit down for a drink with them just for fun. They meant well, but you could tell it put the waiter in an awkward position. He didn't want to be rude, but he also had 4 entree orders waiting to be picked up. It's also important to know that many cruise lines discourage crew members from getting too personal with guests. So if you keep pushing past boundaries, asking about their dating life, room number, or whether they want to meet up in port, it creates tension. And here's the kicker. Some guests think being overly friendly guarantees better service. But most waiters say it actually makes things harder. It's not about how much time you spend chatting. It's how respectfully you use their time. So what's the balance? Greet them warmly. Ask where they're from or how long they've been on the ship. If they seem open, keep conversations short and light unless they clearly invite more. Don't pressure them into lingering or oversharing. Respect their role, their schedule, and their boundaries, and you'll still build a great connection without making things uncomfortable. Cruise ship waiters won't say anything, but there's one thing that quietly drives them and everyone around you absolutely nuts. Talking loudly on your phone at the dinner table. We've all seen it. Someone FaceTimes a friend mid-meal or answers a business call while the waiter is trying to take their order. They're laughing, pacing around, or worse, putting the phone on speaker like the whole dining room needs to hear it. It's not just rude, it's disruptive. Cruise dining rooms are carefully orchestrated spaces. The ambience is part of the experience. And when one person turns the table into a live broadcast booth, it pulls attention, creates noise, and makes service awkward for the entire section. One waiter described it perfectly. When a guest is on their phone, I don't know whether to interrupt, wait, or come back. Either way, I fall behind on my other tables. That's the hidden issue. When you're on your phone, it's not just annoying, it actively slows down service. Orders get delayed, questions go unanswered, plates arrive out of sync, and the flow of the meal, so carefully timed, breaks down. Plus, it sends a signal, I'm not present, and that makes it harder for staff to deliver the attentive, personalized service cruise dining is known for. If you absolutely need to take a call, step away for a moment. Dining rooms have exit paths specifically for this reason. Even a quick, polite, "Excuse me, I'll be right back" goes a long way. And let's be honest, part of the reason we cruise is to disconnect. That dining table isn't just for eating, it's for connecting with travel companions, soaking in the atmosphere, and letting someone serve you for once. So do yourself and your waiter a favor. Put the phone down. Engage in the moment. You'll enjoy the meal more, and they'll thank you silently. Here's something most cruise passengers don't realize. Those post-cruise service surveys you get via email, they're not just a formality. For waiters, those scores determine everything, from performance reviews to future assignments, and in some cases, even who gets promoted or let go. And the most important rating? That little box marked excellent. See, on many cruise lines, unless a guest gives a perfect score, it doesn't count as positive feedback. Very good might sound like praise to you, but in the system, it's neutral, and that can hurt your waiter's record. Now, if the service truly wasn't great, of course you should be honest. But if your server went above and beyond, remembered your preferences, handled substitutions with grace, or simply made your meals more enjoyable, take the time to acknowledge it. One of the biggest frustrations waiters share is when a guest raves about their service all week, smiles at every meal, and then leaves no comment or a low rating on the survey. The feedback matters. It shapes careers. And in a world where waiters rotate ships, seasons, and roles, a few kind words can mean the difference between a promotion and a missed opportunity. If you forgot to fill out the survey, go back and check your inbox. Most cruise lines accept responses for weeks afterward, and many ships now offer QR codes or tablets right at guest services to leave real-time comments. So, next time someone makes your cruise dining special, don't just tell them. Write it down. It's one of the most powerful things you can do for the crew. Most cruise passengers never see it, but your waiter's schedule? It's brutal. Long hours, double shifts, rare breaks, and on top of that, they're required to participate in safety drills, training exercises, and emergency simulations throughout the week. That's why one of the biggest unspoken frustrations is this: guests who interrupt crew during their scheduled breaks or drills. Maybe you see your waiter in the buffet line on their 30-minute break and decide to strike up a long conversation. Or worse, you ask them to just grab you a drink because they're in uniform anyway. Seems harmless, right? But here's the truth. That's their time. It might be the only moment in 12 hours they get to sit, eat, call home, or reset mentally. And most won't say no, they'll smile and help because it's their nature. But inside, they're exhausted, and now that tiny moment of peace is gone. The same goes for safety drills. Waiters are assigned emergency roles, helping passengers, leading evacuations, checking muster stations. Interrupting them during a drill, even to say hi, is not only disruptive, it can actually be unsafe. One crew member told me, "Passengers forget we're more than servers, we're trained responders, and drills are how we stay ready." So what's the takeaway? If you see your waiter off duty, smile, say hello, but respect their space. Don't ask for service. Don't start a long chat. And if you see drills happening, stay out of the way and let the crew focus. You'll earn even more respect and probably better service by showing that you understand and value what they go through behind the scenes. This one's more common than you think, and it puts crew staff in a really tough spot. Guests who pressure waiters or crew to break the rules. It usually starts innocently enough. Someone says, "Come on, just bring us one more bottle of wine after hours." No one has to know. Or, "Let us into that closed section. We'll only be 5 minutes." Maybe it's a request for a drink that isn't included in your package, or for a seat at a reserved table. You might even joke, "Can you sneak us a second dessert?" But here's the reality. Those small asks can have big consequences for your waiter. Crew members have strict protocols: timing, safety, alcohol service, section limits, even when they're allowed to talk to guests. Violating those rules, even if it seems harmless, can get them written up, demoted, or even fired. And they don't want to say no. They don't want to disappoint you. That's why many just smile awkwardly or stall, hoping you'll drop it. One waiter told me, "Guests sometimes think they're being friendly or clever. But if I say yes and a manager sees, I lose everything." So even if it feels like a harmless favor, don't ask. Don't put someone in a position where they have to choose between kindness and their job. If you genuinely need something, just ask within the rules. Waiters are often more than willing to help, legitimately. And if they can't, it's not because they don't want to. It's because they can't afford to take the risk. Respect the boundaries, and you'll earn their trust. And that trust, it goes a long way when you really need something later. It might sound silly, but if you really want to make your crew's waiter cringe, walk into the dining room barefoot. Yes, people do it, more often than you believe. After a dip in the pool or a spa treatment, some guests stroll right into restaurants or buffets without shoes, flip-flops, or any footwear at all. And for waiters who are on their feet all day, in formal wear, often handling hot plates, sharp cutlery, and tight service lanes, it's not just disrespectful, it's disgusting. Aside from the hygiene issues, you're in a food service area. After all, it's also a safety hazard. You could step on broken glass, slip on a spill, or block crew from doing their job quickly and safely. One crew's waiter shared, "It's not just rude, it's a liability, and we get blamed if something happens." Even in the casual buffet or pool grill, shoes are still expected. Every ship has guidelines about footwear in dining areas, and they exist for a reason. Some guests think, "It's vacation, I should be comfortable." And yes, you should, but being comfortable doesn't mean ignoring basic etiquette and sanitation rules. There's a time and place for bare feet: your cabin, the pool deck, the spa. The restaurant? Not one of them. So do everyone a favor. Throw on flip-flops or sandals. They're light, they're easy, and they show your waiter that you respect the space they work so hard to keep professional and clean. And hey, next time you see someone walking barefoot in the buffet, you'll know the crew is silently screaming inside. So what do we learn? Cruise ship waiters work hard, really hard, to make your experience amazing. But behind those smiles are real people juggling long hours, tight schedules, and constant demands. And while they won't call you out, there are definitely a few things they wish passengers would stop doing. Let's recap. Don't complain before you try the food. Don't monopolize their time with endless conversation. Put the phone down, especially at the table. Fill out that post-cruise feedback and give credit where it's due. Respect their breaks and safety drills. Never ask them to break rules or bend the system. And for the love of cruise dining, put some shoes on. These aren't major lifestyle changes. They're just simple habits that show you see the people behind the service and that you care. And when you do, you'll be surprised how far that respect goes. Waiters remember the kind guests, and more often than not, they go the extra mile for them, quietly without being asked. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more cruise insights, and drop a comment below. What's the most awkward thing you've ever seen a fellow cruiser do in the dining room? Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and cruise smart.